Welcome to episode 8 of the One State Solution podcast.
Woohoo.
Yay! My name is Alon.
I'm Elik.
Yeah, and we're both anti-Zionists. And you know what? Maybe lately I started to say more pro-Palestinian or working to free Palestine.
Yeah,
Even though it says Israel on our passport, even though it says Jewish on our identity cards.
yeah,
So this is the normal way we open the podcast, but our viewers that know us might notice that something is a bit different. So Elik can
right.
explain to the audience what is going on.
Yeah. So as you see, it's the first episode that's recorded on Zoom and that we don't sit together in the same room with the ugly painting behind us in my flat in Tel Aviv because I'm not there. I'm not in Palestine. I'm not in Israel. I'm outside this place. And right now I'm in the US. um, in New York. I'm a bit ashamed to say that I don't know exactly where I am. I've been hosted at some friend's house, and yeah, and I've been in quite a journey.
Yeah, so I was going to open this episode and say that the subject of this episode is that we're both on a journey, I think. We've been talking when you have been traveling in the US. It's been like 5 weeks now, right?
Yeah.
And obviously you're on a journey over there, but I feel like
Hmm.
I'm also on a journey here, staying put. And
Yeah.
I think maybe what we want to talk about in this episode is like both of our journeys, like what you've been going through, what I've been going through, uh, and share with the audience what's been going on with us. Because let's say honestly that we haven't been putting out a lot of content in the last let's say 2 or 3 months, right? For
Right.
different reasons. Um, and it will become more clear when we talk uh, why this happened. So,
Yes.
Elik, you want to start by just telling us what you've been doing in the last few weeks?
Yes. I feel it's like it's I've been telling it a lot, and it's an interesting story. Because I feel like in a way it's just my private story of what's going on. But since like we decided, I feel like since 7th of October and what's been happening since, like I think some people like me, you and other people around the world understood the historical significance of what happens. And when you understand it and you decide to act, and our way of action was putting this content out there to the world, and many people have different ways to act, but I think this what we did is the most like the podcast and that we did. I feel it's like I went to demonstrations, I did other stuff, I did concert, but somehow I feel that our podcast were the most significant thing that I did so
I feel like it
far.
might be the most significant thing that I've ever done.
Yeah, in a
This
way.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know why, because it's basically like, two people on a couch talking and analyzing the situation. Why is it so? But I think we tapped into the significance of the historical moment, and by deciding not to shut up and to speak out, we kind of tapped into history. Like,
Mhm.
and I feel that things that I do have more significant historical significance. And it's not, it sounds like maybe like the ego, you can say megalomania a bit, but it's not that. Just like that,
I don't think it's that. No,
it's
I think it's just
deciding not to
acknowledging what is going
be,
on.
Yeah, and not to be like passive observer to events. And when I didn't know that like I would speak up and would become, and that I would be so radical and so open about it, but it's a lot of it is thanks to you. Like I think without meeting you, maybe I would be more hesitant, more like, yeah.
I want to say that this is completely mutual. I feel like this relationship that we have is it's like it's synergetic, you know, because
Yeah,
yeah, maybe I like push more, but your presence it allows me to do things that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And here's some evidence for this. You've been away, and I've been less productive, way less productive, because you've
yeah.
been away. And this kind of helped me see the even more the significance that this relationship has on my ability to express myself, because it's such a basic fact that when you're on your own, it's way harder to do stuff and to feel confidence and to be brave than when you're with other people. And
Mhm.
I feel like we were talking before we started recording. Let me tell the secret to the audience that we were talking about like the how much we want to work together, how much we want to get to work individually.
Mhm.
And you were saying, you want to say this again, what you said to me?
Mhm. That I feel like what we're doing is like we're kind of creating some community that it's not just us, and it's it has some anarchic quality to it, that it's both collaborative and it's both collective, but it's both free and individualistic in the
Yes,
same way.
yes,
So we want to cooperate, but we also want to be independent. And we
yes,
have this tension, right? Both of us, like we're both have this dependency. I depend on you on many things, and you depend on me,
yeah,
which on some level, I think it's good. Like, and on some level, yeah, so we've been apart and both of us didn't put content for a long time,
yeah,
and we need to figure out how, like I did some stuff in Instagram, and also it's because I wasn't alone, and I, like
yeah,
it's a fact that it's hard to do it when you're alone, but
yeah,
this didn't happen, and I missed it very much.
yeah. Likewise.
Yeah.
And I want to take like, because you said that our individual journeys they have some connection to like big things that are happening. And I want to say what the way I see it is. I've been thinking for a long time, way before we met, way before this all happened, um, that this tension, you say tension, but maybe we don't have to see it as tension between
Mhm.
individualism and collaboration, um, is is something that's very important. Like if you think about the endless discussion between capitalists and fans of Ayn Rand, and
Mhm.
communists and fans of I don't know, Marx,
Lenin and
Stalin.
Marx, and yeah.
Yes. So it's kind of about this, like
Right.
libertarian. Like for example, if you take anarchists, there is like two flavors of anarchism. One is
Mhm.
anarcho-communism, and the other is anarcho-capitalism or libertarianism. And it's like people who can agree on a lot of things, like
Yeah.
both like us, basically. Like you are more in the anarcho, like in the more libertarian direction, if I may say so, and I'm more in the communist direction.
Yeah.
We can agree on a lot of things, but there's still this like tension. And I
Yeah.
feel that one of the ways forward, philosophically, politically, socially, culturally, psychologically, on all levels, is not resolving this tension, but understanding the way to walk the line, between individualism and collaboration. And this is something that's like theoretical, of course, I'm speaking theoretically now, but now we're doing it practically, right? We're learning how to work together, the two of us, how to build a community and to collaborate with other people, and also how to connect with ourselves. And the bottom line that I want to say is that if you stop looking at it as a tension and start looking at it as two sides of the same thing, two sides of the same coin, or even two expressions of the same kind of energy, then I think it helps. Like, I know for a fact that the collaboration between us helped me connect to myself more. And the more I connect with myself, I can collaborate with others more productively. So I think that learning this art or mastering this skill is maybe one of the most important things that we as humans need to learn in this period in history.
And I feel in a way it's the most important lesson, and I feel it's also many of our psychological issues has to do with this tension, because if you look at like psychoanalysis and stuff like this, so they talk how in order to fit into society you repress stuff in yourself. And then when the people who are become like, I want to be myself, but then they like how to be ourselves and still to be collaborative and together and be part of society. And these tensions is, it's like, and I feel part of what I am going through is I feel like I'm in a kind of self-actualization also process, and part of it is more to claim my anarchist view and it's way more than ideology. And I feel like anarchy is actually the answer to this. Anarchy is what you said. Anarchy is this thin line. This is anarchy to me, like this is what it's a thing in motion. Like, it's not that you find the definition in the dictionary to anarchy and this is what it is.
It's not
like,
an answer, it's a process.
It's a process, Of course, like, the most simple, I think, thing is the rejection of states and authority and hierarchy, but it's not only this, it's more deep than
it's
that.
deeper. It's more subtle, I think. And I think that one of the problems that I had, and I'm guessing that you had the same problem, is that when we were growing up, when we were younger, we looked at society around us and we saw something very ugly, very oppressive, very fake, very violent. And to me, this kind of made me not want to participate. I thought that this was what society is, that this was what collaboration is, and it always hurt me. It always made me feel bad. It always made me feel disconnected from myself, and not connected to myself, not connected to others. It was always like I thought that I had found some community that I could be a part of, and then it blew up in my face, and I realized that it was all fake. And I think that this is a part of growing up in our broken society, especially when you are born in occupied Palestine and you grow up in Zionist society. And we talk a lot about how this society is based on violence, is based on denial, is based on lies, is based on separation. And also, this is all over the world. You can say what you want about the ideal of capitalism, but this post-capitalistic, like late-stage capitalism world is very isolated, very problematic. And
It's
it's not a
horrible.
society that's fun to live in. It's not a society that's connected to nature. It's not a society that's connected between itself. It's not, and we always felt this, I think. And I I know that you went through an individualistic stage. I also went through such a stage, and this is, I think, when we were like, okay, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Now, what I think I'm doing is finding the people and the way to connect to other people that is really right for me, that is not fake like this. And this is, again, an ongoing process and maybe a never-ending process.
Yeah, and I think, yesterday I was talking on the phone with some really cool new Palestinian friend from DC that I have. Her name is Sima, and I really hope that we will have her on Yala podcast.
Yes.
She's amazing. Sima, if you watch it, this is an invitation, even though she knows.
Every time we talk about having someone over on the podcast, we say "Yalla," and this is
Yeah.
this is the name of the podcast. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and we talked about it that in a way, what we're doing now is to build our own communities as an adults who build community upon like shared values and shared and shared principles. Because when you're born, for example, into Zionist society, people tell you this is your community. No one asks you. You have to, and it demands huge sacrifice of you. Like you have to die to defend it. And they tell you since very, very young age, it's not that it's just your society and it's society that you didn't choose and you were never active participant on deciding what the shared values are. It's also expected from you to sacrifice yourself for it. And
yes, not just physically, which is bad within itself, but I think even worse, you have to sacrifice your soul.
Yeah, and then
we never agreed to that.
Exactly, and then you have the part of that. In order to protect yourself, you have to go through individuation in phase. Like I don't need society, and then after you go through that, okay, I need to build the community that I want to build as a grown up, because I cannot do it alone, and I cannot resist the oppression of the existing system alone. And that's the weakness of individualism. Like you cannot fight oppression alone. Like you have to build communities and to find like-minded people, because otherwise we're doomed. And that's the weakness of individualism, I think, in our current phase, that it cannot resist imperialism, it cannot resist state violence, it cannot resist the big corporate elite that controlling this world. Like, and that's why I'm coming out of this pure. Like I would like to do an episode that I share why for a while why I have side that is also like sympathetic to anarcho-capitalism and libertarianism, and it's still not figured out completely in my.
I think the fact that it's not figured out means that we need to talk about it more.
Yeah, because I still have parts in me that believe in that, but I also see its huge weaknesses and why we have to develop other way of thinking. So it's a process.
Let me say this even more bluntly, okay? I think the reason that our current society that was built by, constructed by powerful people, the society of liberalism and even neoliberalism, people always talk about atomization, right? About individualism and atomization. It's like two ways to call the same thing. One of them is more negative and one is more positive, right? But I think that what you are talking about is not, it's not a bug, it's a feature, okay? That's what they want us. They want us to be individualistic. Why? Because when you are individualistic, you are weaker against the oppressive system. So they build this, they construct this narrative, this ideology of individualism. They say you have to make it on your own. You have to always take care of yourself and so forth and so on. And it can sound very good, if you are trying to solve your psychological issues that are the result of this system, usually, by the way, it can sound like something very charming, like the solution to your problems.
Yeah.
But then when you start actually doing it, you see that it's not helping. It doesn't solve your problems. And to me, one of the biggest changes that I went through, like in my political perception and also my perception of myself, like psychological change, is realizing how important community is, realizing how important connecting with others are. The irony is that I'm here in occupied Palestine, and it's so hard to find like-minded people here, people that I can actually connect with. But yeah, we will talk about this more
Yeah.
in this conversation, I guess.
Nice. So do you want me to continue to describe a bit what I've been doing the last
Yeah. Let's go to more
weeks?
concrete things.
So people who also, I don't know how many people who watch our podcast also follow me on Instagram, because I was sharing in the lives I used to do there that I felt really depressed in occupied Palestine. I felt this is something I don't know. Maybe you edit after, but I have strong cannabis addiction. That while I was there, it was becoming more and more and more and
We
more
were talking
severe.
about stepping out of the closet, out of
Yeah.
the plant medicine
Yeah.
closet. So let's just do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I love cannabis. I still love it, but it's became like pain escaping route, and I felt like that I have less motivation to do stuff. I just stay at my home. I hear what happens in Gaza, and it's becoming just worse and worse, and I'm suffering, and I'm afraid, and I'm paranoid from being caught, and and this fear is still exists in me, and I have ticket back on the 10th of September, and I'm afraid to come back. And I a bit feel like, now I'm kind of like a gay person who lived in a place where gay rights is being suppressed, and then he can go and I can wear this and I can put this on and I can not feel afraid. It's like the same feeling, and
Yeah.
and just the thought of going back there and thinking that I have to hide who I am is it's very depressing for me.
Yes.
And 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 I don't know why. So, but I will go back to the story, and I made really close friendships with two Palestinian guys that now I'm staying in one of their. One of them is Khader Humeid, who was in our fifth Yala episode,
Yes,
I
yes,
think.
episode 5 of Yalla.
Yeah, if you didn't watch it, I recommend his. I think we're gonna do more things with him for sure,
Yes, for sure.
because I think he's a healer, and I think he can heal people. And and I feel when I think about these people that maybe can heal people from the Zionist virus, like he is one of the people, because he has our radical view, but he have like infinite compassion,
Yes,
and I
it's so ironic that a Palestinian in exile in the diaspora has more compassion to Zionists than us, right? It's like
yeah, yeah.
sometimes we have conversations with Khader, and I go, yeah, all these Zionists, I hate them, and then Khader says, no, but you need to understand them, and I'm like, aren't you Palestinian? What's going on here?
Yeah. So so I contact him and another dear Palestinian friend who lives next to Seattle. Also, I've been talking daily on the phone, and Ahmad, the other one, told me that, you know what, it sounds like you need to go a bit away, and I offer you to come and stay at my place next to Seattle for a month, and I just took the offer.
Yeah.
And so I've been staying at it's a weird situation that, I don't know, dissident Israelis flying away to run away from his stressful society to be in a Palestinian place in the diaspora. Like the irony in that story is
But you
is
know what?
really,
I feel like when you create ironies in the face of fascism,
yeah.
it means you're on the right track. I think that like
Yeah,
fascism is so absurd, it's so
yeah.
grotesque, it's so ridiculous,
Mhm.
it inverts reality so much
Mhm.
that that one of the most powerful forms of resistance to fascism is like going against everything that is expected by
Yeah,
the fascist regime, and
yeah.
this is and it feels liberating, right? It feels
It
liberating to
is.
do this, right?
It is liberating. It is liberating. And also, it's funny because I felt many people like my parents, friends told me, maybe you go somewhere away, go to Europe, go to, and I forget about the genocide. And I felt locked because I felt like I don't want to forget. And I wouldn't enjoy to be with people who don't care about it. But when Ahmad said to me, come, we both care about it. I care about it. I know you care about it deeply. We're not going to deny, but we are going to take care of our well-being because we need to
Yes,
take care of our well-being and to help each other. And this is the community thing that we were
yes,
talking about.
yes,
And all the stuff that people who are still in denial tell you, put the phone aside. It's true that you need it sometimes, but you cannot accept it when it comes from them.
yes,
But when
yes,
it's a Palestinian friend or you or someone who are not in denial, say, let's heal together. Let's try to maintain our psychological and mental health so we can be effective, so we can be collaborative, so we can maintain, to maintain your joy of life. It's not a privilege. We need it. Without happiness, without well-being, we become, we kill ourselves slowly. It's
yes,
like the system tell itself slowly to shut down, to shut down, to shut down.
yes.
And it comes from morality, it comes from empathy, but in a way, you're in this paradox that you need to tell yourself, I need to block my empathy for a while because I want to be a moral and effective and active
Mm.
human being. It's a weird situation. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it's
Maybe
blocking your empathy. I
so.
think if you do find yourself blocking your empathy, then this is problematic, and
Yeah,
it's part of the problem,
yeah. So
part of the
you're not
atomization and
blocking. Yeah.
individualistic approach that is the damaging part of it. I think it's like
Mm.
redirecting the empathy. It's
Yeah.
redirecting the empathy to the people around you, to the people who are to the here and now, and
Mm.
not necessarily thinking about the entire planet or all of society at
Yeah.
this particular moment. Maybe it's learning to be skillful with our empathy and more
Mm.
flexible with our empathy. Maybe this is
Yeah.
this is the key to what we're talking about.
Yes. And there's some level of selfishness that is necessary, and it's hard to say it but I feel like that's nature, right? Like life have to sustain itself and living beings have to sustain themselves. And if you reject it completely, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a weird game that we need to,
So here
yes.
we are talking about this skill of walking the line between the individual
Yeah,
and the collective, right?
yeah,
Again, what we're talking
yeah.
about. I've been thinking a lot about this term, solidarity,
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
and I
Okay.
think this term of solidarity, it is very powerful in especially in the context of the discussion that we are having. And
Mm-hmm.
solidarity is hard to define,
Mm-hmm.
but I think when I criticize libertarians,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was hard for me to criticize libertarians for a long time. I didn't know exactly what to say, but I think it's all around this thing. Like I think they lack solidarity. They don't understand solidarity. They don't
Mm-hmm.
think that it's important, and they don't put an emphasis on it. And I think that this is the main problem. Like Ayn Rand, if I tell her solidarity, she would laugh in my face, right? I don't care about this. This is stupid.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem.
It's making you weak. It's making not realize your full individual potential. Yeah,
Yes.
like something like that, right? This is the way
But
of
I
thinking.
feel like it's the opposite, right? When I feel like if you're really connected with other people who really care about you, solidarity is always something mutual. It's never one way, right? Solidarity is it always goes both ways. So it's like you know joining hands, and then you're more powerful. And when you're weak, someone else picks you up, and when they are weak and you have the energy, you pick them up, right? So I feel like this flavor, this element of existence of the universe is a very important element. And the more I think about it, the more I see how important and healing it is.
Yes. Yes, so you can say like I feel like coming to Ahmad's place, think about it. This guy is a Palestinian, he is Muslim, and I contacted him on the phone, on the internet. Like when I told friends, yeah, I'm going to like they were, what the fuck? It's guy. Why do you have this level of trust? And I think from the second conversation I had with him, I was like, I fully trust this person.
Yeah.
And 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 I felt like that he's inviting me was an act of solidarity and it's such a profound act of solidarity because why to empathize with me and not with Palestinians who are going through genocide and he understood that what I'm going through is really, really hard and that my voice is important in the overall picture. And above that, it's just friendship because we developed close friendship and he told me I would offer this like I would offer it to my little brother or
So this is another aspect of solidarity. People act as if caring about others is some limited resource, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's not just not true, it's the opposite of true. Okay? It's like
opposite. Yeah.
The more you care about others, the more you can care more about more others. It's like it's an endless thing that more caring leads to more caring leads to more caring. And if you think about caring about others as some limited resource, I think this is the problem. I think this is what creates isolation. This is what creates loneliness. This is what creates indifference. This is what creates all these toxic things. And this like just taking the point of view that caring is something abundant. It's already like the first and maybe the last step of healing.
It's very beautiful what you say. Yeah. And I thought also that like a lot of time we talk about, people ask us, right, how come you two guys succeeded to escape this indoctrination of Zionism? And it always feels like a question that you don't really have an answer, and it feels a mixture of our personalities and our privilege and our luck, and you don't know.
And just our circumstances, like
circumstances. Yeah. But I feel that for me, this ability to trust that many people will tell me like you're naive. And I was like my parents at the beginning, when I told them I'm going, there was like, who is this man that you're going to? Do you know him? And I just told them, look, I don't know. I understand it's a legitimate question because you don't know him and you don't know, but I would put my life in his hands. And I knew it already. And when I came there, it felt immediately like supernatural, and I don't feel so you know, this ability to see the person in front of you, not because of what society is telling you to think about him, is a big part that I felt that I always have, like, and it had to many population. Like I've been taught to hate ultra-Orthodox Jews, and I never felt I really hate them. I felt they're funny
Yes.
people with their web, and I want to get to know them and why. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the Israeli society is actually very anti-Semitic, and a lot of anti-Semitic traits that was to the Jews to Europe is transmitted in the Israeli society towards the ultra-Orthodox because they're different, they look weird, they have a lot of, they go in the buses with all their family and children, and you learn to look at them, and people say they're smelly.
Yeah.
And you know, like there's a lot of Jew hatred in
Yeah, this
the
is I never saw it quite as clearly as you described it now. It's like all the anti-Semitic tropes are just expressed in this relationship of secular society to the ultra-Orthodox Jews, and like
yeah
and just so people understand, people who haven't lived in Israeli society and don't know about it, this is something that is not just common within leftist circles, you know, the Zionist left, supposed left, the liberal Zionists. It's like,
yeah
I think it's the worst there. Like when you
yeah
talk about
right
liberal Zionists, they're the ones
yeah
who hate the ultra-Orthodox Jews the
yeah
most. And
right
they speak in this way. It's like, it's
because it's
very
allowed, it's not considered racism.
not considered problematic, no.
Yeah
I was part of it. To my shame, I don't know. When I was younger, I was part of it. I did have these tropes in my mind, and it took me a lot of work to deconstruct this. And I feel like I've done most of the work, but you know, it's never done. It's always a little bit in your mind. So we need to be very aware of this. That society teaches us to hate or despise or be disgusted by certain groups of people or other animals, when there's no real justification for it.
yeah there's no real, and in Israel it's both the fact that and they are the parasites, right? They don't go to the
Yeah. They
army.
call them parasites. They have
Yeah
their excuse, right? They say, why are they parasites? Because they don't work. They only pray and they
yeah
take budgets away from the state.
yeah
So many problems with this argument,
yeah
but just at the basic level, like these people are this population. The population of ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel is the poorest population in Israel.
right
They're the poorest people there, except for Palestinian Israelis inside
yeah
Israeli society. So the two poorest populations and most oppressed populations are ultra-Orthodox Jews and Palestinian Israelis.
yeah
If you talk about only the people who have Israeli citizenship inside
And
the
it's also not true that they don't work, by the way. You
yes,
just need to go
it's also
one,
lies.
just go to their neighborhoods. You see there are a lot, they're working, you know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very rich life. You see their shops, you see everything they do. It's not, it's a lot of it is, yeah, a lot of it is just
And let's just say this for what it is. It's anti-Semitic, but it's also fascist, right? The
yeah,
assumption that your worth is determined by what you contribute to society.
yeah,
It's a fascist kind of thinking, and this is the capitalist expression of fascism, right? You
yeah,
need to work and make money, and if you don't make money, then you are a parasite. You see how all these tropes connect: anti-Semitism and capitalism and fascism and you know, general racism and so forth and so on.
yeah.
It all connects to like hatred and oppression. And this reminds me, just a small anecdote. You remember when Netanyahu was speaking about the financial situation in Israel, and he said, yes, maybe the objective parameters are they look bad, but when you deduct Haredim and Aravim, you know, the ultra-Orthodox and the Palestinians,
So we're
we're
good.
okay.
You push
And this
out
is
the
like,
poor people, and then we're good. That's
and this
great.
is like
It's like the
how
Israel
revealing this is.
democracy. We don't give citizenship and voting rights to half of the population, and then we're a great democracy. It's
Yes, yes, yes. Well, after removing the problematic parts of our society is great.
it's
And
all in the eye of the observer, you know, is
yeah. So let's go back to your journey and what you are going through. I want to encourage you because you
okay.
said you want to step out of the closet.
Yeah.
Um,
So I thought how to do it because I don't want to give details, any details of where and what. So it's good not and not to out any other participants because
yeah,
I know this. But I took like part of what I did was to go to a plant medicine journey of 2 days where I drank ayahuasca. And I did it intentionally, and part of my intention was to ask this smart plant medicine to get help to heal myself also, because I felt that my depression and my addiction and all that I don't know that if I will just continue that way, I will not be helpful anyway. And also not just, I don't heal just to be helpful for others, let's be honest. I also suffered and I wanted to, to make myself better.
yes, of course. What do we all want? To feel good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this
And
reminds me of the song that you sang right
yeah,
after the ceremony, right?
yeah,
You want to do the line from the song?
yeah. It says like, it has a different part. It's like, if you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew, what I want for me is what I want for you. Between the river and the sea, what I want for you is what I want for me. Like,
Exactly. So like, yeah, all I want is to feel good.
yeah,
Obviously, others also want to feel good. So what do I
yeah,
want? I want everyone to feel good. And if I want everyone to feel good and everyone else wants everyone to feel good, then everything will
yeah,
be good. I know. So they will call me naive, right? They will call me
yeah,
naive. But
yeah,
this is it's please let's remember this. Let's remember this, not naively, but let's not forget the simple and fundamental truths of life. And I want to tell you, Elik, that one of the reasons there are many reasons that I appreciate you as a person and as an artist, but
Mhm.
one of the main reasons that I appreciate you as an artist, as a musician, is that your music is always like taking some fundamental, simple, basic truth and just
Yeah,
saying it simply.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's a
wrapping
very
it up in
simple sentence, right?
yes,
What I want.
yes.
Yeah,
And you know, I was thinking that the Jewish
Mhm.
culture, there is like this very famous anecdote that someone goes to. I think it was the Rambam, or I don't remember which interpreter of the Bible, and he says, "Please explain all of the Bible in al regel achat, on one leg." Okay,
Mhm.
so he says, so he thinks, and he says, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, ומה ששנוא עליך, אל תעשה לחברך.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
love thy neighbor as you love yourself, and don't do to others what you hate, or do to
yeah.
others what you wish upon yourself.
Mhm.
And then, so they say this again and again and again, and it becomes a cliche, and it becomes, eroded, and then they forget the basic truth and then they
Yeah.
become Zionists, and then they start the genocide, right?
And it's funny, because I post my stuff on Instagram and it also shows in my Facebook, and my Facebook is more the
Israelis.
Israelis. And most of the stuff I do, they ignore. And when I put this song, suddenly a lot of people wrote like rejection stuff, also support, but also
Really?
rejection. Like this triggered them, this what I want. Like it's funny from
How do they now I'm curious. I didn't see this backlash that you got. How do they explain even to themselves that
this
get
is what
triggered by
triggers them. I don't know. It's funny.
what did they say?
And some said like wrote, ha ha ha, I laughed so hard. I don't laugh at stupid people and I don't laugh at evil people, but I laugh at naive people. Naive people make me laugh. And do you know what he wants for you? He wants you dead. Basically, they all say you want for him, but they want you dead. That's like all the negative comments saying this. And I also sang in the song Free Palestine, and someone wrote like, do you know that Free Palestine means the destruction of your own people? I wish you more self-love.
Yeah, I want to say something about naivety and trust.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
When you were talking about trust, I was remembering like my own experiences, some flashes of experiences, and I realized that yes, I was naive. Like this quality, this tendency to trust. I did express it or use it in a naive way when I was younger, and I trusted people and maybe groups and communities that, in retrospect, in hindsight, I should not have trusted, and this led to me being hurt and becoming more distrustful and more dejected and more isolated and angrier and and frustrated and desperate and pessimistic. So yes, there is such a thing as naivety, and sometimes you do trust people and groups that you shouldn't trust. But what was the reason for this? I think the reason for this was that I was living in a society of such isolation, like we talked about before. And I searched, desperately, almost desperately, for this connection. And this made me tell myself lies about like maybe ignore the red flags, ignore the signs, the obvious signs of problematic behavior. Let's give an example so that it's more concrete. So I want to step out of the plant medicine closet as well. I was for many years, let's say 7, 8 years, I was part of a community in Israel. It's not a defined community, but it's
But
called
it
the
is a
Jewish
community.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hippie community, whatever.
Many people know each other from
Yes.
like we almost, it's funny that we didn't meet before because we were connected to the same,
Yeah,
kind of
we both did ceremonies with the same shaman, okay, and
yeah,
we have a lot of common
yeah,
actions, but we didn't,
yes,
for some reason, we didn't meet. Maybe if I connect to my hippie side, if I connect to my mystical side, I say the universe didn't want us to meet yet. We
yes,
only met when it was right to meet.
yeah.
And so why do I mention this community? Because it was problematic in many, many ways. There is a lot of individualism, like fake community, but actual individualism, exploitation, lies, deception, greed, sexual
It's somehow
violence.
beneath the surface, right?
Yes, and it's always like denied and like talked about, but hush hush, and
Yeah.
a lot of anti-rationalism, which was very hard for me, right? But when I come from a background of mathematics and science, and when I started being like this community felt very problematic to me for a long time because of this anti-rationalism, and I was very skeptical of this community. But then I found some really good things about them, like how their hearts are open, or at least to some degree their hearts are open, how they hug, how they touch each other in non-sexual ways, okay, like you can put your hand on the back of someone in a caring way. and it's no big deal, and like a lot of things that are really good and genuinely good. I'm not saying that it was all fake.
Yeah.
But I had to, for example, I had to repress the part of me that I always rolled my eyes when people said some things that I thought were, not rational, not logical. And there are ways to be mystical that I appreciate, and there are ways to be mystical that I think are superficial and just deny reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to differentiate, but I know for a fact that
Mm-hmm.
I had to repress some criticism that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, let's make this very concrete. It's always like you sit in a circle and you share, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
After an experience, after a ceremony, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There is a sharing circle. And
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that the only thing that you are allowed to share are positive experiences and positive thoughts and positive emotions. And even if you share something negative, you always have to wrap it up in like a positive thing. And
Yeah.
I noticed that I also did it. And
Yeah.
whenever I didn't do it, whenever I didn't do the
Just
sandwich, the
crunching
positive
the heart
sandwich,
at it, right?
yeah,
Like
I got
when you just like, yeah.
whenever I didn't share an experience, something positive or ultimately positive, I would get like, side eyes, like people felt uncomfortable around
Why
me.
do you
I
ruin
felt
the party?
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so this is toxic positivity, by the way.
Mm.
And I know that this bothered me, but because I wanted the things that this community provided, the sense of belonging, the sense of community, and a lot of things that this community provided for me, I kind of repressed it. So this is trust that is misplaced, and I think that this is something that's very important to highlight. That, and I'm going through this process of who should I trust, when should I trust, how much should I trust, how should I trust. But
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that we can, one of the tools that we can use to differentiate is, do I need to repress myself? Do I need to push away thoughts? Do I need to push away criticism? Do I need to act in a fake way? And if I do need to act in a fake way, then something is problematic. And let me close this thought by saying that I think this connects back to what we were saying about individualism and collaboration, right?
Mm-hmm.
True collaboration is where you bring yourself fully, your own unique perspective, your own idiosyncrasy, and your entire psyche, your entire soul. You put it bare, and it is accepted, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what true collaboration is. And if you need to repress some part of yourself, it, not just for a moment or two, but continually, then this is a very bad sign, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and it happens a lot in these communities of plant medicine and stuff, and that's why I've been like I said that in this episode I want to come out of the closet as person who uses this tool because I feel it's not just a small thing like using ayahuasca and mushrooms to expand consciousness from time to time. It means a lot if you are open to this, and there's a lot of repression in our societies against it for understandable reasons.
Yes, it's very it's an act of rebellion. It's an act of
Yeah,
resistance to take these to connect with these plants.
yeah. And I had time in Israel where I was like you connected to a community of people who met and did it many years ago, but I stopped using it for a while. And part of the reason I stopped using it is because I felt like um, the I think the people I used to do it with, it was a lot about self-love, and which I think is very I think self-love is very essential in any healing process, but it was rejecting all the collective aspects of this. And it was all the people who were there were just talking, I need to love myself. It's all about loving myself, and it's me and my parents, and you share, and everything was about that. And when I went now to the ceremony, I thought I want to deal, and it was part of my intention to deal with the collective issues also. I want to deal with Gaza. I want to deal with my collective, How am I connected to my Jewishness? Am I connected to, and it felt that it's important for me to deal with these collective trauma issues, and it was part of my intention. And all of my ceremony was about that. It wasn't just Elik, the individual, and his own issues. It was there as well, but because I thought about my parents and all that. And if you want, and I thought a lot if I want to share my experience publicly, because there's something very personal to it, and the more you share, you kind of lose it as a, like I don't experience it in myself anymore. But I feel like it's my experience and how I understood it, and you can help me to understand it together.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like interpreting a dream, right?
Yeah, and the more I go far from this experience, I kind of lose the feeling of it in my body, but the meaning of it become more and more profound.
Yes.
And I feel this time it's important to share it. Usually I didn't share trips in publicly. So I decided, and yesterday I had the realization that was very important to me about Jewishness and how I connect to my Jewishness and why it's connected to me standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people now. And it's connected to the trip I had there. So I thought to share it with you and here. And what do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I don't know how many of the viewers know about ayahuasca, but it's a brew that you drink, and a lot of time it induces many visions, and it's a very, very powerful psychedelic. And I've done it many times in the past. It's very mysterious the way it works. Sometimes it's you get a multi-dimensional space travel, and sometimes it's all in the body, right? I had both experience. I don't know how it was for you.
Yeah, and also sometimes it's horrible, like the most horrible experience you've ever had, and sometimes it's the best experience you've ever had, and sometimes it's both. And it's like it's very mysterious. I think that's the most like prominent aspect of this experience, that it's mysterious, that it's really hard to understand.
Yeah, and people who do it a lot have this way they talking about the medicine, about the ayahuasca, as if it's some entity with intentions for you, and you know.
Yes, they call it abuela, the grandmother.
The grandmother that, and you know, every time I go to it, I'm at the beginning, I'm cynical about it, and then after I'm the ceremony, fuck, wow, she knows that, and then it comes up, and then I kind of a super believer, and then I come back to normal, which is like kind of true, and the skeptical part is also back, and I don't know, and my conclusion is that it's mysterious thing. I don't know how it works, but it's it's very powerful.
Yes, it does something powerful this week.
Yeah. And so and the way to do it in the Peruvian tradition, which this is what I did this time, is that you sit in a dark room with many other people. Everyone has their spot in the dark. You drink, and then there's the shaman who is chanting stuff. That to me, I didn't know how to relate to this chants. It didn't feel like nice music that entered my soul, and it felt like they're doing something there. It didn't bother.
The Icaros?
Yeah, it was Icarus.
Okay, so this
They
is
had their Icarus. Yeah.
it's part of the as far as I know, it's part of the Shipibo tradition. Shipibo
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
native Native American tribe, mainly in Peru.
Hmm.
And those Icaros are like the way they describe it is they say that they kind of download these songs from the spirit of ayahuasca. That's the way they
Yeah.
talk about it, and like it's in their native language, the Shipibo language, and in my experience, in my very subjective experience, these Icaros, the chants,
Mhm.
activate something. Like you drink,
Yes.
and then nothing happens, and then the shaman starts to sing, and the singing creates something inside you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the people who did it, like the woman that it was like the two women that did it, they were not from the Shapiba, but they learned really long
Yes.
time in the jungles.
Yes.
Like they knew the Icaros. I don't know how many times they drank ayahuasca and they did all the diet thing. It's a whole tradition of
Yes.
how to do it.
Yes.
And so I drank one cup and I was lying in the dark, and the guy next to me was Jewish, and he had the kippah next to him of his bar mitzvah son. For son bar mitzvah.
Oh,
And
really?
because he wanted, yeah, to keep
Like as
connection.
a token, like a symbolic token of something, right?
Yes, yes. And it was interesting. I don't want to talk about other people
Yes.
experience, but we had many, many. If it was like, wasn't this thing that it's something that people have to decide that they come up, like it was very interesting what happened between the people there, because you sit in the dark, everyone has his own trip, but you know, people throw up and they cry and
Mhm.
it's very alone and it's very together and it's very heavenly on one earth thing because you have the vision, but it's so earthly because you hear the voices of the body, you know, when you hear
Yes.
someone throwing up next to you or
Yeah.
crying and it deals with the embarrassment issue. It's very interesting. It's like,
Yes, I do. I also had this
yeah,
experience that I'm going through something very personal, and other
yeah,
people are going through something very personal, but in some weird and mysterious way, it's all part of the same thing, and the thing that I'm going through is connected intimately to the thing that other people
yeah,
are going through.
yeah,
And see how this subject keeps coming back and back, the
yeah,
individual and the collective. It's like
yeah, yes.
this episode is about this. I don't
It's
know
about this,
why and
yeah.
how, but it is.
So I drank the first cup and it didn't kick in very hard, but it already something very intense happened inside me. And I had a long phase of the ceremony that I kind of came back both to wish to come back to my own people. I really wanted to put the kippah on, like
Mhm.
I almost did it.
Mhm.
I thought about many people I know from Israel that I just want to reconnect to them, and I felt like the sadness of the disconnection from the Jewish tribe and the Israeli tribe. And there is this notion of Am Israel, which is people who grew up in Israel. It's more than meaning being Jewish, right? Am Israel is it's the people of this country, like
Yes,
and and
yes.
of
And
course it's
now the slogan Am Israel Chai, the
yeah,
people of
and Am
Israel are
Israel,
alive. It has become a slogan of genocide, but it
yeah.
didn't used to be like that. It didn't have to be like that.
But it's also mean the simple people, the working class,
Yes,
the people who are not elites in this society. And when you become anti-Zionist, like many people view it as elitist thing, like you say, I'm not part of Am Israel.
yes.
And I thought a lot of people that I just felt like I want to reconnect to.
Mhm.
And I also felt um, like I'm almost becoming Zionist again because of that. And I felt like, yeah, I don't care about Gaza. And it was really
Mhm.
strange, horrible, and good feeling in the same way. Like I felt something in me told myself, yeah, you just don't care now, and it's not my thing. And I felt like um, I'm allowing myself not to care, and all of it was like I had a lot of, it wasn't completely, I didn't have a lot of like hallucinations in this journey, but I felt like that my mind is filled with Jewish symbols
Interesting.
and
Would you say that it was a relief to not care?
yeah, there was a big sense of relief. There was like,
Yes.
I felt suddenly it takes away big part of my depression.
Mhm.
And I felt light in my body, and I felt like I want to go and run and climb a tree and just like and I imagined myself, if somebody asked me, I would just like, yeah, I don't care. Like, fuck
Mm.
it. Like, you know, just sometimes people tell you when they eat meat and you confront them and just fuck me, I don't care, just leave, you know.
Yes.
And when I meet and I have to confront this, and I felt like I have to confront this part in myself that first of all, it's also exists. The part that is separate and can disconnect. And the moment something in my brain told myself, you're allowed to do this, I could do this.
So let's
And
let's say something even more.
mhm,
It's not just that this part exists.
mhm,
It's also good. It's also important, even critical. Okay?
mhm,
What do we all want? We all want to feel good. We want to be playful children. We want to create art. We want to, enjoy life. We want to meet each other and laugh and enjoy, right?
mhm.
What is the goal of our existence if not this? What is the meaning of our existence if not, I don't know, maybe there's other aspects, but this is a very important aspect, the playfulness, right? Just playing. And I,
Yeah,
I know when I was doing math, okay? So math is
mhm,
about this. It's about, playing with ideas, playing with
mhm.
concepts, and it's
Yeah,
it's it's unrelated to like all this
yeah.
disgusting, physical
Al-
existence.
Also, music has this
Yes,
aspect.
music as well. Yes, it has
Mhm,
this aspect. And this is,
mhm,
and I know that when I talk to people about math, I feel like we're in a different dimension in some sense, and we're talking about ideas that have their own meaning and have their own significance, and it's not less significant. It's just differently significant, and there's a sense of calmness, a sense of relief. This is why I
yeah,
loved, doing math, right?
yeah, yeah,
So it's important. It's important to have these times of playfulness, of like this is such an important part of being human, such an important
yes,
part of life.
yeah. It is, and I felt like the medicine kind of, if we use this rhetoric, the medicine told me you're also entitled to this.
Mhm. Mhm.
And 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 I wanted to shout like just I don't know, it sounds weird, but I wanted to shout really strongly like I'm Elik, like I'm me and it's okay to be me, and fuck all the rest. I don't care about the rest, like. And but I also had this time like, what's going on here? Am I going to come back from this island and say I don't give a shit about anything? Like that's the message that ayahuasca told me, that my most honest truth is that I'm selfish and I don't care, and all this podcast and everything, it was just a game of trying to look moral because it's a critical voice I have in
It was
my
just a phase. Grow
yeah.
up. This is a phase.
Yeah, it's a phase, and the truth is that everyone take care of themselves and about their careers, and so this was strong, and it's connected with also like, fuck it, just connect to your brothers. Come on, like
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
life,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. And these are the
Yeah.
messages that we get from Israeli society, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I want to share that like 3 years ago, there was a long period of time, like months, maybe a year and a half, where I
Hmm.
was going through a very deep crisis, like depression and desperation and anger and loneliness. And it was also about like looking at society and looking at how everyone doesn't care, uh, thinking about the Holocaust of the non-human animals, and
Hmm.
thinking about also the Palestinians and seeing how people around me don't care, don't care, don't care, and I see the suffering, I see the violence, I see the destruction, and everyone around me don't care.
Yeah.
And I shared this with my family, with my father, with my sister, and the message that I got from them was always, why do you need this? You're not responsible for this. Don't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Just just forget about it. Be happy. Take care of yourself. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. And you're trying to take responsibility on things that are outside your control, and this
Yes.
is why you're suffering, not because
Yes.
the world is bad or yeah.
Yes, and you're just like, stop thinking about this. This is the message
Yeah.
that I got. And to be honest, it never felt like it's like this was the answer. Okay, I will talk about my own journey some other time, but maybe you continue with your
Mhm.
journey.
Okay. No, but it's good that you analyze it with me. That's why I wanted to share it with you publicly to have your insights as well.
Yes, because we all have the same
Mm.
kind of experiences, and when we reflect these
Yeah.
experiences on each other, we can learn and we can see the similarities, we can see the differences,
Mhm.
we can compare and contrast.
Mhm. And I feel like I needed this part of the ceremony. This I thought about to shout, "I'm Elik," and because there is part in each one of us that I believe who deserve to live, who deserve to have self-love, and also the Zionists deserve it. You
Yes,
know, even
yes,
though
everyone
I
do.
feel
Everyone does.
everyone, every living being, of course, not on the expense of others and all this stuff, and
Yes,
but everyone deserve to be loved as children and then to grow up as an adults who know how to love themselves.
yes,
Like I truly believe in that.
yes.
And and then the ceremony continued and they asked if we want more. And I felt that the influence on me was mild. It was very intense in my thoughts, but it felt like intense meditation. Like you go to an ashram and like, and there were some things happening in my body, but it wasn't. And then I thought, okay, I can have more.
Mhm.
So I drank the second half, and you know, it took another like an hour and a half, and I was in my mind, okay, I guess the medicine is not going to kick in that hard this time. And I was kind of had this disappointment, you know, because when you go to do some extreme experience, you expect to go through
Yes, you want
something.
it to be intense.
You want it to be intense.
Yes.
And then suddenly, after a long time, and you know, I was kind of, you know, at some point, I was like, okay, I got the experience, and how long this suddenly it kicked in super, super hard. Like it knocked me in a way that, and I felt that I was in, I don't know how to explain it, because it's not that it was vision. I didn't see bombs falling or stuff, but I felt that I was in Gaza, like that I, because you do it in the dark and it's completely dark room. And I felt it took me to this movie, The Night Will Never End. It's a documentary that's been on the Gaza genocide.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
And I felt
So
like
you watched this documentary? I never
I,
heard.
wa I watched it before, but and I cannot say and describe the amount of suffering I felt. Like I really wished my own death. Like it's not that I was close to shoot myself or do something, but I felt like torment and feeling of isolation, and I thought like that's must be how the prisoners in Machane Teiman feel.
Yes.
I felt like my face, nobody saw me, but it looked like the guy that I saw coming out of there, and it looks like his sanity is gone forever.
Yeah, let's
Like
let's
he's,
just explain to our audience who are not aware of this. This is a camp that it's like the Zionist version of Guantanamo Bay, where they keep
Mhm.
prisoners. They claim that they are terrorists, that they are related to Hamas, but not necessarily. Not necessarily. They keep prisoners in horrible conditions. The whole story about the rape of one prisoner and the protests that. The protests against the trial that the investigation of this case of rape, this was in Sde Teiman. So just
Mhm.
so people understand the context. So you felt like a prisoner there, right?
Yeah, because it suddenly in one moment I lost all the trust in the people that were there.
Mm,
And I thought like I'm locked in a place where nobody is in my favor. I
mm.
have no prospects. When is it going to end? It's like endless nights. And you know, in this movie, this child asked her mother, when is the night is going to end? And the mother said, the night will never end. And that's the feeling. And you know, you're in this darkness, and I felt, and you know, and I was doing movement for something like this, or like to somebody will see me, and I couldn't take a word out of my mouth. And
Because nobody was listening in like your
yeah,
perception. Nobody would listen anyway.
yeah,
So you are
yeah,
silent. You have no voice.
yeah. And this feeling of like that you're and I felt like and there was some part in me that was consciousness and knew like it's gonna and and I felt like that I'm experiencing the whole other side of people not caring, and it doesn't matter. It was Gaza, it was the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust as well. I felt like in the camps, it's connected to the animal Holocaust as well, like of what stuff. I think it's because hanging around with you made me more aware, and it's stuff that existed in my consciousness, you know. And it was also just being in that room, suffering, like it was um and yeah, and this feeling that the night won't end, like I don't know how to explain it. This the and I felt like that, and I thought about it, that when I was in the depth of this experience, I thought like I would never want to hurt anybody in my life.
Mm.
And I felt like if they were knew what they were doing, if they would feel it, they would never do it. But even they know the details, they don't know. Like there, I felt that I see this detachment for,
Yes. Yes.
and it's yeah, and
So you're saying that this wasn't really an experience, like you didn't see images or anything, but you felt a kind of feeling. It was like a state of consciousness, right?
yeah, it was a
Feeling.
state of consciousness.
Would you describe it, let's say, as helplessness?
Yeah, total helplessness,
Yes.
total feeling that nobody here is in your favor,
Yes. Yes.
and and in that situation, I was kind of feeling I was holding my heart like a baby.
Mm.
And the only thing I could tell it is like it's to hug it and to say I'm with you, but it's not that you know that the pain is going to be over. You don't know anything. You cannot promise anything. And the only thing you have is to say I'm in the middle of this immense pain. I'm holding on, and I'm with you. And And I felt like a mother, like a Palestinian mother or like a Jewish mother in the Holocaust that holds her baby, and they know like they don't have anything positive to say about the end of the suffering.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and at some point I just said help. It came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I think it was less than a second and somebody appeared and took me out, and I checked I have like the diabetes thing. I checked that I was fine. And the moment this happened, like the hell was over. I still felt nausea and bad physical
Yeah.
thing. But I think like this, for me, the answer was the moment you have, like it's like someone took hand and took me out of there.
Yes, you're not alone anymore.
You're not
Someone
alone
cares
anymore.
about you.
Yeah, and I think also in Gaza, when I see them together and taking care of each other, like this is what holds them from not losing it completely. And you see the spiritual, we were talking about like togetherness, like it
Yes, and
feels like,
solidarity.
yeah. And you know, and you can say just my own interpretation. I don't know what it is to be obviously in Gaza. I don't know. But this is because this is my psyche and this is the stuff I deal with. But when I came out on the other side, I felt like, okay, I had this phase of connecting to my Jewishness and all this stuff, but now like it made it more strong that in this historical time, I'm standing with the Palestinians.
Mm.
And this is the point that I wanted to tell you at the beginning, that I had a thought that I felt, and I had it yesterday, and I think it's a breakthrough. Okay.
Okay. Share with us.
Okay. Because when I became anti-Zionist, it made me reject my Jewishness, or at least have some question about it, because the Zionism tells you Jewishness is nationality and ethnicity.
Yes.
And the moment you reject Zionism, you reject the notion of Jewishness as nationality and ethnicity,
Yes.
right? And to me, I reject nationalism and ethnicity, not
In
only the
general.
Jewish, in general, but especially the Jewish one.
Yes, it's
Because
especially fake. It's especially destructive. It's especially oppressive.
yeah, and it feels to me even more like, because it's inherent in Jewish religion to object to Zionism, to Jewishness as nationality. It's you go against the religion.
This is why many ultra-Orthodox Jews are against Zionism, and this is one of the reasons that this
Yeah.
group is oppressed by the
Yeah,
Zionists.
it's a modern form of idol worshiping, according to the. And then when you're a secular and you become anti-Zionist, so what makes me a Jew, right? Like I don't believe, I reject the ethnicity, and this experience, and I feel like accepting the Jewish nationalism makes me. It's also, you cannot accept it without accepting also the oppression of the Palestinians. It goes hand in hand.
Yes. This is why I call my channel, and you can see here, it says Hebrew Canaanite. It doesn't say Jewish, because I don't feel like I'm Jewish. I know that you're going through a process with this. I'm not, okay? I'm
Okay,
not.
so
And maybe I will sometimes, but now I feel Hebrew and not Jewish.
okay, yeah, and so I'm in a similar place, but what happened to me in this ceremony
Yes.
and after it, because after it I had a long phase of thinking about my father and what he had gone through, and this experience of experiencing this tremendous suffering of being a victim of Holocaust. And let's say the Palestinians are victims of Holocaust, of an ongoing Holocaust, and the Jews were in the Holocaust, and then it clicked. I reject my Jewishness as ethnicity, but I accept it as ancestry. And when I accept it as ancestry, I reconnect to my Jewishness, and it makes me even more in solidarity with the Palestinians, right? And this is this understanding that I had yesterday, and I think it's connected to this healing of trauma. And I feel both of us, the Jews and the Palestinians, were victim of the same forces, were victim of the same people, you know.
Yeah.
The Europeans rejected the Jews as an inner enemy, and they oppressed the Palestinians as a colonialist, as going as expansions, but taking other people's place. But so we have the same oppressor, we have the same, and as a Jew who connect to his ancestry, I stand with, in this historical time, I feel more Palestinian than Jewish, not in a sense that it's more just this is what's happening now and this is what needed. And this is how I heal my trauma as well, by standing with them. And that's
also, this must be said, that Jewish and Palestinian is not contradictory, right?
Yeah, right.
Until Zionism came along and took over Palestine, Jews lived in Palestine and were considered Jewish Palestinians. So it's not a contradiction, not an inherent contradiction, right?
Yes. So this process of rejecting the nationality and ethnicity, but embracing the ancestry, I think, like for me, it's an important revelation that I wanted to share with you.
So what does it mean to you in practice? Do you have like ways that this will express itself in your behavior, in your choices in the future? Doesn't have to be. You already have some conclusions from this.
I don't know, but it feels more whole, and I feel I have less resentment toward Judaism because of this. I don't know what it means. Like accepting your ancestry, it's also letting go of it. It happens both ways. Like I think when you heal from the trauma from your parents, you also let them go, right? It's kind of, so it doesn't mean I'm gonna embrace Jewish. I think I'm a mystic in some form, in a rational way. So I like to take. I think there is a lot of stuff that from Judaism that I have this special connection to it. It's more mine than other stuff, but I don't know. It's this place in the heart, but I don't think I will ever become to adopt any religion as some form of practice that I do every day. But so I don't know what it means in the practicality of it right now.
I want to share my thoughts about this. I've been thinking a lot. We were talking about each of us is going through a journey. And we spoke mainly about your journey. So my journey is characterized by thinking a lot about my identity. And this is something that has been going on more and more and more in the last, let's say, year, okay? And I've been talking a lot about what it means to define myself as Palestinian.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Is it okay? What is the meaning of this? In what way does it work? In what way doesn't it work?
I think you're the most. I think it's very revolutionary. I know many radical Israeli leftists, and I don't think anyone had the nerves to do it like you.
So I always found myself rebelling even against the rebels. So so this is a continuation of this.
Yeah, and you get some pushback on this from Palestinians as well, right? Or more
a little bit from Palestinians, but mainly from Zionists, mainly from Israel.
Okay.
But this is not the point. The point is that when I think about my identity, so the way that I grew up is I was like, no, I don't care about all this. I don't care about religion. I don't care about nationality. I don't care about ethnicity. I don't care about history. I don't care about, ancestry. I don't care about all this. I am me, and I am now. I'm living now, and what I am is I do math, and I like this kind of art, and I have these hobbies, and I have this
Yeah.
history, and I have this psychology, and so forth and so on, which
And
is
it
all.
makes sense because it's stuff that much more defines your character than like nationality and who gives a shit about this stuff. I can
Yes, yes,
understand it.
but this is the thing, that
Mm,
it's all very important, but it does miss something, and I think this relates directly back to the atomistic individuality kind of discussion that
yeah.
we had. I think
Mhm.
when you just reject all of this, it's important to
Mhm.
reject all of this to find out who you are as an individual. But I think it is true that I, as a body, as like a physical body, and I, as a psyche, is also connected to my ancestry. It's also connected
Yeah.
to my history. It's also to the history
Yeah.
of my family. It is true, like this video that I posted about making hummus in Palestine. Okay,
Mhm.
and I was talking about my family history. I was talking about how
Yeah.
my grandmother came from Syria, and my grandfather came from Iran, from the Shiraz area of
Yeah.
Iran.
You're a mixture of
Yes,
everything, of
yes,
Palestinian, Arab, Ashkenazi,
yes,
European, like you have
yes.
everything in you.
So I have another grandfather. I had another grandfather who came from Poland, and his wife, my grandmother, her family came from what is now Belarus, and it's like
Mhm.
a complicated story. And I saw how rejecting the lies that I've been told by the cult of Zionism helps me reconnect to my actual roots. How
Mhm.
Zionism deleted my own history and made me disconnected from my history, and made me disconnected from the land, and made me disconnected from myself, and made me disconnected from society, and so forth and so on. So rejecting Zionism as a lie, as a cult, helps me connect to my own roots, that are also Jewish, okay, in some sense.
Mhm.
And reconnecting to my roots helped me reconnect to myself, and help me understand my relationship, help me connect to the land of Palestine, help me connect to. So it's all the same process. It's all the same process.
Yeah.
And to me, this is so it's weird how this conversation, there was like a line in this conversation.
Yeah, that we didn't plan, but it's like the line that connects everything. Because
Yes,
also for
yes,
me, it was like I was saying, like I'm not Jewish, I'm not.
yes,
This is it's imposed on me, and I reject it, and this is the individualistic rebellion.
yes, yes.
And and then you understand, okay, but I'm part of something also, and
Mhm.
I cannot reject my ancestry. I need to reconnect to it, and it's
So,
interesting. And
so
it makes you instead, like when I thought like when I connect to my Jewishness as ancestry, it makes me more connected to the world.
mhm.
And when I think about it in this limited thing of ethnicity and nationality, it separates me. Like,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes. So here is the way that I want to think about it. It's all work in progress, right? We're
yeah.
we're having a discussion, right? We're never
Mhm.
going to stop. But the way that I want to think about this now is that when you truly connect with yourself, you truly connect with the world. When you truly
Mhm.
connect with the world, you truly connect with the self, with yourself. If your connection with the world makes you disconnected from yourself, it's not true connection to the world. If your connection to yourself makes you disconnected from the world, it's not true connection to yourself.
Mhm.
When you do it in a real way, you see that there's no contradiction. You see that these two supposedly separate processes that are in tension with each other are actually not in tension with each other, but they actually just contribute to each other, and they are actually the same process. And when you realize that it's the same process, you can do it truly.
Yes. Amazing. I think like it was like really beautiful how this conversation went without planning, and it's all around. And you know, part of things like why did I have this experience with ayahuasca? Because the Shapibo people and all this, they talk a lot about ancestors.
Yes.
They don't put it aside. And I always had this, because I was rebelling against Zionism, I didn't like this talk about ancestors. Like, what do you mean? This is the past, and I am who I am. And understanding that we're part of humanity and part of, or and animals and creation,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's all in us. Like, we're part of whole creation. And that's why you cannot reject the past, and you cannot, like it's
Deny the
interesting.
future, right?
Yeah, and you cannot deny the future. You cannot deny the collective future. Like, yeah, it's interesting.
I want to finish with this memory that came to my mind now. So
Mm-hmm.
we were both at this party in Jerusalem. You remember
Mm-hmm.
this party? This was us trying to kind of forget about about
Right.
what's going on and just having fun.
Right.
But it wasn't really like right. It was all mixed. But I remember
So, yeah.
you kind of did you started and conducted a jam session
Mm-hmm.
in this weird place in Jerusalem that was probably inhabited by Palestinians at some point in history, right? Right, because
I
it was
don't know
like,
about this specific house, might
but
be.
it felt like an ancient building, like
Yeah.
an old
Yeah.
building. So
Yeah.
just throwing it out, I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting there, and you conducted this jam session, and at one point you started doing some vaguely Jewish music, right? You were going yabba boy, yabba boy, like this,
Yeah.
and you. I was sitting next to you, and I was trying to participate in this creation of music, and I felt like you were waking something up in me, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was this moment where you said you did like this musical sentence, this Jewish musical sentence, and then I continued it, and then you did it again, and then I continued it, and I felt like something was opening up inside of me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this maybe is an example of a healthy connection to our
Yeah.
Jewish ancestry through the music, through the art, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something to make peace with. I think, Zionism supposedly supposed to heal something, but like you hate, I feel that when I go to the oi oi oi, and
Mm.
I'm kind of connecting to to this diaspora Jew that we've been told to hate, like
Mm.
it's part of me, this, and and the Jewish, I find way more like the anti-Zionist ultra-Orthodox Jews. You will be surprised that we have way more in common with them. Like, they're pacifists, they're truly pacifists, like if you attack them, they will not attack you. It's part, and that's why the Zionists hate. Like, they would confront people with the signs of what they're doing at the genocide. But if someone, I don't think they hit back. They're so deeply pacifists in their worldview, and they're like monks with very weird religion that they keep. But it's something I would like to know these people more.
So let
When
me
I'm.
say something very concrete. Uh,
Mhm.
if you, not you, Elik, I'm talking to our audience. If someone in our audience happens to be
Mhm.
a part of this community and through some chance found us and you're watching us and you want to talk to us, please send us a message. And I think it would be an amazing conversation to
Mhm.
have with someone who knows this community, who is part of this community, and to find out what they're all about, because I think that very little and too little is known about this
Yeah.
community of anti-Zionist ultra-Orthodox Jews who live in Palestine. Some of them actually live in Palestine, and maybe there is an opportunity for productive cooperation here.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, I think it's a good place
Yeah.
to finish this very interesting episode.
Yeah.
So
A
I
lot
had a lot of,
happened here.
yes, I had a lot of fun. I learned a
Yeah.
lot from you and from myself and from this
Yeah.
discussion that we have
Yeah.
between us. So thank you to all of the audience for watching, and if you made it this far, thank you very much for really listening to our conversations. Elik, one last thing you want to say before we close up this episode?
No, thank you for everyone is listening. It's good to know that we can do it in this format. I think we had to do it once in order, because I don't know where I'm going to be. I have many questions, like maybe I come back, but I have a strong part in me who wants to feel free and not to go and feel like a bird who's being forced to go back to the cage, and I don't want to go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to the cage.
yeah. I
Yeah.
sympathize completely with this sentiment.
Yeah, so I will see. So
But yes, it's good to see that we can do this on Zoom, and it's not it's in some senses it's even better than what we do. It felt like a really good conversation, and
yeah,
I didn't
I
feel
really missed. There's some stuff that unless I talk about them with you, I just don't get to understand.
yes,
I really missed
completely
having.
mutual, completely mutual.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so bye bye everyone, and
Bye,
we
everyone.
do again the peace and justice for
Yes,
all.
justice.
Uh, we are one, we are all. I don't know. We need to find something that expresses this sentiment, but this will come. This will
Yeah,
come its own time.
it will come. Yeah.
Okay, bye bye everybody.
Bye.